Hey everyone, this is Josh Erdman, CEO of Systems and Marketing Solutions, going live on video to talk about some marketing tips this week. Um, Last week I was talking about a BS filter for your SEO. There's a lot of misconceptions out there, a lot of bad guys, bad actors taking advantage of people's ignorance on how to get found on Google. To be honest, if you pay attention to your phone at all, you're getting calls from Google all the time from Google saying that you're not ranking, and those things. That's not Google, and a lot of the lies out there just aren't true. So I highly recommend that you take a look at last week's video if you want to learn about SEO, or if you have an SEO guy and you're kind of wondering, they're sending you fancy reports, but what are they really doing? What are things to check for? So take a look at that. It's the BS filter for SEO. Today I want to talk about the BS filter for pay-per-click advertising. That's in the form of Google Ads, formerly called AdWords, Facebook advertising. There's, if you use Waze is pay-per-click advertising as well. And also those ads that you see in LinkedIn, you can see them in Twitter, you can see them in Instagram. They're all over the place. So there's a lot of misconceptions, and we're going to go through that BS filter. The goal is to give you an idea of how it needs to be done to be complete well, and to bring you money, because if it didn't work, we wouldn't be in business. So let's start with that one, and that is pay-per-click advertising doesn't work. That's not true. I completely disagree. It's why we're in business. It does work. For the low-hanging fruit, the industries where it's absolutely vital, talk to any plumber, any mover, any lawyer, or someone in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Any industry that has an emergency component, pay-per-click advertising is what keeps them in business. The easiest example is the plumber. When you have a party and your toilet's stopped up, you're going to talk to your phone, say, find me a plumber, and you're going to call the first plumber that's on the list on your phone. And as long as the plumber is open and can come to your house, you're not going to call the next person. So they need to be at the top of the list. And you can remember probably looking in the yellow pages way back in the day when the yellow book was big and thick. And it was the big ads that kind of got your attention, and you just grabbed whoever was open. Hopefully that you would look for a plumber that said 24/7 support. So pay-per-click advertising, yes, certainly does work. Not just for those that have an emergency component, but when you look at pay-per-click advertising in the world of search, it's people searching for an immediate need. So there's a lot of value there, especially if you're there for the need. It gets a lot more difficult when people are searching and you're in the industry where people can shop you and they're researching. A lot of bleed there. It still does work, but it definitely takes someone even more dedicated to filtering that out. So you're not paying for people's research, you're paying for people's interest in business. So let's talk about some of the other misconceptions that you can use. Another one that's really common is pay-per-click advertising is set it and forget it. I put in my keywords, I tell Google how much I want to spend each month, and I'm done. I'll just leave it alone and walk away. That can't be further from the truth. What ends up happening is you'll have a lot of bleed, and there's several reasons, but let's just talk about one. Let's say you put in all your keywords, everything that would match you for your business. So we'll stick with the plumbing example. We want plumber near me. We want leaky pipes. Let's see here. I guess toilet replacement, things like that. But also you're going to be smart. You're going to put in some negative keywords. So obviously people will search a lot for liquid plumber, and Google's definitely going to look for opportunities to match in those keywords. So you're going to be smart. You'll put in negative keywords like liquid, so you're not matched to liquid plumber searches. So you're not wasting on those clicks. But when you look at the changes, and there's a lot of blogs out there on how many changes Google makes a year. Their average is almost 1 change a day. And these are all small little changes, but they can have a big effect. Let's talk about soccer. If you know anything about soccer, the white lines, when the ball crosses the white line is on the other side, that's considered out. But when it hits the white line, that's considered in. Now, what if the rule was to change? And we're talking about just 2-inch white line here, where if the ball touches the white line, that's considered out. It's a small change when you look at the overall surface area, but when it comes to playing the game, it's a huge difference. Google makes changes similar like that, where they are fudging and changing what that white line is. So you need to be careful on that. And that's one reason why it's not set it and forget it. And it can take many hours staying on top of all those changes. So one reason why you would give your pay-per-click advertising to someone who does a lot of different accounts. It's not, another reason why it's not set it and forget it, so you should be definitely involved in your pay-per-click advertising if you run it yourself, is it's a real-time auction. So in real time, digitally, anytime someone does a search, Google is comparing all the keywords that people are bidding on, the bid amounts that everyone's connecting to, and it's seeing who wins. So it's real time. So anytime one of your competitors' budget changes, if they decide to pull out and not advertise in digital advertising, you need to change your bid. You are probably overbidding for things, and Google's going to take advantage of that. Since it's a real-time auction, you need to adjust to those outside factors. It gets complicated. There's other things such as quality score. If your website starts running slower, it affects your quality score. Because your quality score goes down, you either need to bid more to maintain your position, or you end up losing position. And the most important positions are the top sections. You want to be at the top of the search results all the time. So for some searches, there's 4, and for some, there's only 1. So you need to be in the top area, because the reality is, even if your ad shows, but you're at the bottom of the page, no one's really going to see it, and that's not going to bring you good business. Let's see here. So another lie that a lot of people come to us about is they think that pay-per-click advertising is easy. They can track things. They're able to handle multiple variables, so they understand the auction and the bid. They understand that competitors can change things, and it's kind of interesting to them. They like to get involved in that, but it gets even more complicated. For example, scheduling. We've worked with a timesheet client. They sold time tracking software, and they were monitoring their schedules, where they would tell Google, don't bid on certain days. And they said Fridays is terrible. And their analysis shows that Fridays don't work so good, because on a Friday is typically when companies, all the staff would go through their timesheets and turn them in. And there's a lot of people maybe searching for timesheets and clicking these ads. And they said, we don't get any leads from it. We're very frustrated. We have Fridays turned off. We looked further into the data, and what we found is that after 6 p.m., actually bids on timesheet related keywords was huge. They actually had some great conversions. And the reality is, most of the staff are done, they're home, except for one person. And that's like the HR manager or the accountant who manages all the timesheets. They're there after hours, they have a stack of timesheets, and they want a solution, so they're doing a search for it. So overall, yeah, Fridays were a loss until you looked at the schedule, the actual data hour by hour, and then you find gold. So it gets a little more complicated than what a lot of people think. Another example of complications are device types. Some campaigns don't run so well overall, but when you look at it by device type, whether it's an iPad, like a tablet, a cell phone, or a desktop, you end up seeing that the search fits is more valuable based on device. So you might want to do a bid adjustment where you're offering less money to Google for one device type, or keep it the same but offer a bid increasement, a positive adjustment where you're maybe willing to spend up to 50% more for a specific optimal device. Imagine doing geofencing. If there is some big event happening at a golf course and you want to advertise to that, most people aren't going to be on their desktops or carrying a laptop with them. They're going to be whipping out their cell phone. It's the convenience as they're walking around the course. So you probably would make a lot of sense to put in a negative bid adjustment against the desktop, but go after the cell phone. So device types matter. You also need to audit your queries, and that's a lot of work. If you get 1,000 clicks in a month, there are 1,000 entries of each click, the search term, and the keyword that Google matched you to. And you should look at those, because you're going to see, you might find some gold, some keywords that Google matched you to, but you weren't actively bidding on it aggressively. We weren't specific. It was like maybe a broad match that got you there. But then the other one is that you're going to see a lot of trash at the same time. As the example of plumbers again, plumber, you want a plumber service, you don't want bids on liquid plumber. And with how many plumbers that we service, we see a lot of trash out there. People do searches on topless plumber. And back in the presidential primaries several years ago, we had John McCain running for president, And his example to try to connect with the average American was Joe the plumber. As soon as he said that, plumber ads, plumber budgets just got tanked because people are searching for Joe the plumber, and unfortunately they're still clicking on ads, and plumbers had to pay for that. So we kind of call that the Ellen effect. When Ellen talks about something, what she says can create a whole sea of people doing searches, and if you don't have your marketing set up right, that can be good for you or bad for you. So you need to audit your queries and prepare in the future for some of those things. One of the ones that you can plan for looking into the future are events out in space. Solar eclipses, for example, are probably the biggest one. There is an older car called this Toyota Solara, and I promise you, Google, if you are bidding on solar, if you're a solar company, Google is going to match Solara or solar events to you if you're a car company selling Toyota Solaras. Another example is Mitsubishi, I believe, makes the Eclipse. So you better adjust your marketing if you're a car guy selling Mitsubishi Eclipses and people are doing all these searches about the lunar eclipse that's coming up. You need to protect yourself against those. That's where negative keywords come in, or changing scheduling. So in those examples, my hope is just to kind of show you that pay-per-click advertising isn't easy if you want to do it right, and you want to make sure you don't have a lot of what we call bleeding. You don't want to bleed. You don't want to waste ad spend on clicks that aren't valuable to you. Finally, for the PPC B filter, the last thing I want to talk about is a lot of people, they come to us because they're not happy with it. It's inefficient. It's been expensive. They're giving Google a lot of money, but they're not getting phone calls. And what we find out is that they're on, Google Ads Express, which is, Google Ads on training wheels. And they say, well, I got it all set up. The Google support guy was extremely helpful for me getting everything put in. And, after several calls each month, talking to them about things that aren't working for me so well, they keep telling me to, have broad matches, add more keywords, or increase my budget. And what you notice is every one of those gets more money to Google. It doesn't make anything tighter, cleaner, or reduce ad spend for you. And it can be compared to going to Vegas, sitting at the blackjack table, and asking the blackjack dealer to teach you blackjack. They have a motive. They have their employer needs to make money off of that blackjack table. And that's exactly the same situation that you're in if you're using Google Ads Express and you're talking to the Google support guy. It's a great way to kind of learn and get your feet wet, especially if you want to understand what really needs to be considered in some deep pay-per-click advertising. But you don't want to stop there. You need to keep reading, grab some third-party information that's not from Google, get coaching from us, or we're more than happy to save you the time and run the account for you. But sticking with just the easy Google Ads Express and talking to Google support is not going to get you the answers that you need. So anyway, I hope that answers some questions and points you guys in the right direction on, using a BS filter to get an idea of what your PPC guy is doing for you. One other one that popped in my head is conversion tracking. If your pay-per-click advertising guy is all jazzed, they're talking about, we got you more clicks, and they're all focused on clicks, you need to be frustrated because a click doesn't result in business. For most clients, a phone call or a form fill out, that was what results in business. So if they're not measuring the phone calls that their ad efforts get you, if they're not measuring the form fill outs that your ad efforts get you, then they're blind. A click to your website could just be someone who's doing research, and that's not what you need. The reality is you don't care about which search terms and which ads get you more clicks to your website. You care about which search terms and ads get people to your website to pick up the phone and call you. Completely different thing. So make sure your pay-per-click advertising guy is doing what's called conversion tracking, and that they are measuring on your website a solid conversion that equals business. So time on site doesn't count. Viewing number of pages typically doesn't count. What really counts as a solid conversion is a phone call or a form fill out, such as schedule free consultation now, one of those form fill outs, not subscribe to a newsletter. So anyway, that's probably the best advice I can give for you guys when it comes to a BS filter for your pay-per-click guys. This is the level that we strive to. We work with every client to make sure that they are doing conversion tracking, because it really is the best value to make sure that you're using the right ads and you're putting your budget toward the ones that convert. I hope that helps, and we'll talk next week. Feel free to post questions. You can post questions on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook channel. Our company is also on LinkedIn. we love your questions, especially be able to work those into some of our next videos. Thank you very much and have a great week.